Hello there, we are back once again, and I am ready and willing for 3 questions from you and Millie.
We all have questions, and Pastor Carney has answers. We all want to know what he thinks. There's important information to know. What are his thoughts? How did he get here? What's his favorite golf ball? It's time for 3 questions with Pastor Carney.
Yeah, we every once in a while ask you a question, and it's like
crickets.
Do you really want to answer? Do I really want to answer this? So how do you feel about
I think it's great. I think it's great. I haven't answered the question that's been around for a year and a half now. Is what's your favorite golf ball? But we'll get to that one of these days. But yeah, and I was just at the golf dome here, not the golf dome, the golf simulator in town last weekend.
Warsaw's Golf Club.
So yeah, I think it's great. There've been tough questions. There have been easier questions.
Fun questions.
There have been fun questions. And there's times when I turn the tables and ask you guys questions.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love it, and I want to continue it. And they're great questions. And
And Phil, being a leader in the church, how do you think the congregation feels about the questions and the answers?
I think it's good. I think honestly, congregation can be asking more questions though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the questions are coming from this group.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a few from outside of this group,
Right.
but as a congregation, we want to know your questions. That's what pastor's here for. I want to learn. My thoughts are not your thoughts, and your thoughts aren't my thoughts. So if you have questions, send them in. We want to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. This week, we have a question from a homebound member,
Oh yes, Marion.
Marion, who asks,
Here it comes, Marion.
why do we have service on Sunday instead of Saturday?
That's a good question. Well, it has to do with OT and NT, Old Testament and New Testament, and has to do with the first day of the week, the first being the Lord's. And let me put all those thoughts together. In the Old Testament days, of course, the Sabbath was Saturday. And that's why if you have some Jewish friends, their Sabbath, their Friday nights are very important to them. And so that's their Sabbath, their time to be with the Lord. And that dates all the way back to the Old Testament days. And to those friends of ours who are Jewish faith, they still celebrate the Sabbath and the Passover on that date. For the New Testament people, the New Testament Christians, that they changed to Sunday. And there are a number of stories out there why Sunday. But the best reason I like to go with is because Easter, Resurrection Sunday, was a Sunday. And so that begins the day of the week, the first day of the week. And as you know, Jesus said, God said to give the first fruits to the Lord, give the first to the Lord. And so the first day of the week is Sunday, not the 7th, but the Sunday is the first day of the week. And we give that to the Lord. And so for our Jewish friends, they worship on Friday night, Saturday. And for the New Testament Christians, we worship on Sunday. Yeah. But
Good answer.
that's what I'm going with.
Okay,
Right or wrong.
very good. I've always read it as the thought in the back of my head on the last day of creation, God rested. The Sabbath day, we need to rest.
Yeah.
So we make God get up and come to our service. Seems kind of strange.
Theology according to Billy.
That's a good point.
Quick story about Marion. I love to visit, as you know, and I'll go over to Marion's house every 3 or 4 weeks. And before you know it, we'll look at the clock, and it's been like 2.5, 3 hours. And we just talk about anything and everything. I love to visit with Marion, all my homebound members, but I love sitting with Marion and hearing stories about Chicago and Illinois and her family and whatnot. And as we always say before communion, well, we think we changed the world for this month. Let's get to communion. And so,
I like that.
yeah, so.
Very good.
Thanks for
Bill,
your question.
Thank you, Marion.
The questions that we've been asking have been a wide gamut. I mean, they're not pigeonholed into one bucket. I mean, We've asked everything from personal life to theology, but are there questions that you think we should be asking that we're not?
I do.
I would say 3 areas: theology, practice, and life.
Okay.
Meaning theology, meaning why do we believe what we believe? Because a lot of our friends out there, Phil,
Right.
As you well know, are from different faith backgrounds. Our friends have different family members from different faith backgrounds. And so they might be sitting around their dining room table talking about X, Y, Z. And so some person believes one thing, and then they say, well, we don't believe that quite.
Yeah.
But so why is that? Those type of questions. Ask me, why do we do this? And my friends do this. And then practice, meaning why do we do what we do? Well, Pastor, how come, we start the service in a down mode, always talking about confession and sins first? Well, there's a reason for that. Why do we do this? So how do we do this? And so those practicum kind of questions. And then the fun questions. Pastor, what do you think about the basketball championships coming up or whatever? So I would say theology, practice, and fun. Yeah. What do you think?
That. Yeah, I think we got to talk about topics that are relevant, but also topics that you can take into your life. So something that is relevant, something like you said, theological, where you can say, okay, why do we do this? Why do we baptize infants? Why do we believe that, communion is Jesus' body and blood and him coming to us in that moment? And then being able to take it out into the real world and apply it. It's got to be relevant and applicable. That's what I'd say. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good.
This has been Billy Brinkerhoff, Phil Kuhn, and Pastor Carney wishing you an awesome day.
Thanks again for joining us. If you have any questions about Redeemer, have a topic or interview suggestion, or need to know anything about the church, you can contact the church office at churchoffice@redeemerwarsaw.org,
Pastor Carney at pastor_Carney@redeemerwarsaw.org,
Phil at phil.prevail@gmail.com, or Billy at rlc_it@redeemerwarsaw.org. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Please join us again next week. And until then, may the Lord be with your spirit and grace be with you.
Pastor
That
Carney.
rhymes. Yeah, that rhymes. Yeah. I'm a
Okay.
poet today.
And you didn't even know
I
it.
didn't even know it.
I bet he knew it.
You can take out my feet with the Longfellows. You get it, Longfellow. Anyway, going on with the 3 questions.
First question. A homebound member,
Oh, yes, Marion.
Marion, who asks,
Here it comes, Marion.
thanks for that. You just broke my train of thought.
Sorry.
What does Marion ask?
Exactly.
Oh, you don't have it written
Who
down.
asked? Well, no, it was in the
Oh.
middle of that, and he said that, and my mind went whoop, over there.
Man.